Here we go. And let me share my screen. Okay.
Cheers, man.
No, thank you. Anyways, I was saying now that the audio isn't gone, that this is, scheduling international tournaments are challenging. Very challenging.
It's an outright pain in the bum.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. That's one really good way to put it.
It is worth it in the end, though. So.
Yes, to crown the winner, to crown a champion in Age of Empires. I agree. So we have Poseidon, the reigning, or the menace on the ladder, versus
the King of Sparta.
The King of Sparta, yes. Versus Crabby420, who apparently has only been playing PvP for a short amount of time, which is great to see that he's comfortable enough to join a tournament like this. But how do I say, let the role play begin? Like, pretend you're on the Sparta ladder.
Yeah, well, I think it's really interesting to see him not playing around his storehouses. Like, advanced PvP players, or even intermediate PvP players, by now, you'd have a wood storehouse, a gold storehouse, and you'd be thinking about throwing down your stone storehouse or your house already. And like, he's aging up after taking a pretty hefty villager cut there, trying to cram in this quick age too, right? But Poseidon's already up by 4 villages, and he's already going to have the resources to age 2. Like, he's got barely any food, so I'd wager he's already got.
Yeah.
He's got his Temple of Ra down. And as you can see, he's got 3 storehouses.
So, and this is one thing. Now, he's not even going on hunt, just keeping his life simple. He did get the picker's gloves, but I think Poseidon might anticipate this. One thing I was gonna say that you alluded to was using your actual resources that you put down. So you put down a barracks, and you want to make sure, or a castellum, you want to make sure you use that castellum as quickly as you can, or else you'll be wasting your resources, right?
Well, pretty much, yeah. That's it, man. Like, with the hold up in his spearman, then he could have thrown down the second storehouse and had much more efficient wood gathering, then started the barracks, not been any further behind on his spearman count. All this time he's dropping his villages right now. He could be producing villages, and like, Poseidon's not producing villages, but he's getting a tech from his town center.
Yeah.
So,
and he's making another town center.
Yeah, he's making another town center already. So he's already making as the most optimal macro decisions for the lines of play that he wants to make in order to actually get the most economic value out of them. Whereas Crabby, as much as it is really courageous of him to step in, I'm not sure if this is going to be a terribly long series. No offense to the bloke, and big kudos for stepping up, but Poseidon is a seasoned Sparta player, seasoned tournament player now, and I think he's opening this really sensibly with that safe berries opening. It's not optimal, but at the same time, it also means that he's really, really safe, because if he probably went into this thinking that Crabby was going to try and cheese him with really heavy barracks play, just go balls to the wall. So Poseidon really likes to play around 2 town center, 3 town center economy.
Yes.
He really likes utilizing a heavy villager lead over his opponent. So naturally, he's going to try and open like this, go for the second TC straight away, throw down barracks and stables, and basically out macro his opponent. And the best way to do that is sort of open as safely and as uninterruptedly as you can. And berries really allows for that. Ace does it a lot too, but not a lot of other advanced and high level players and top level players will do it, just because huntables is that much more efficient per se. But if you get pushed off the hunt, you're going to end up having to take picker's gloves anyway.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And there's that critical window of opportunity where if your opponent pushes you off your hunt, your whole macro slides back multiple minutes almost. And then Poseidon wouldn't be able to at this very moment boom the way he's going to be booming, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can pump out like 9-second axemen right now, and in no time you're going to have an army much larger than Crabby's, even though he's been producing some legionaries for quite some time.
Well, that's it. Like, he's only got the one barracks, and he's now getting the auxiliary camp. Meanwhile, yeah, Poseidon's already up to 3 production facilities, so he's already one ahead there. He's got the town center ahead over Crabby. The longer this goes on, without Crabby dealing a lot of damage, without taking much himself, and spending that big resource bank he's got, you know, the further Poseidon gets ahead in effectivity, like the score lead probably is actually smaller than his advantage over Crabby, I think, right now, considering Crabby hasn't got the army to actually deal a lot of outright damage here. So
one thing I will say though, for our Crabby friend, these are some dope shields. These are some cool looking shields, man. So props really nice for him.
On his units. Yeah.
Props for him. But you're absolutely right. And one thing, spending resources is such a difficult task when you're a beginning player. Like, you might not know what to spend your resources on. And the other thing is the way we're focusing for casting is on the action, right? But and you can see at the top corner where Crabby's focusing his attention, it's almost entirely on his army here. And when you do that, you're not able to macro, you're not able to produce villagers. And so you fall behind in that sense. And that's
exactly.
That's Sorry. Like no, all good. And that's just due to like not having the most experience with like your hotkeys and PvP in general, which is not bad, right? It all comes with time.
Oh, that's it. You know, players like Poseidon have played probably upwards of thousands of games.
Yeah.
Like, even I would have by now.
Yeah.
And top levels would have probably played in the tens of thousands, like over the years. You know, we're talking people that have been playing back in the official game when it was, you know, at high levels of activity that it's ever, you know, reached in Celeste era. Not saying that we're never going to get there. I think we will, but yeah, like there's some really experienced players, and the game is quite figured out. Like, and it's not hard to really push RTS games to the limit in this day and age, now that people have the wealth of experience from decades of playing other RTS games. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of time for people to sort of warm up patch to patch, and otherwise people are able to play not necessarily perfectly, but in a quite close to sense.
Close,
like a bit like the way sports are played at the top level.
Yeah, and it's that, especially for when you've been playing RTS for like 10 plus years, right? Like, it's quite like you get in this rhythm of knowing exactly what you need to do when you need to do it, and the top level players have been playing RTS for we got a lot of old people on. so they've got quite a lot of experience. Is the nicest way I'm going to put it.
Yeah. Strangely enough, though, I think AoEO's player base is probably the young crowd amongst the AoE player base. Like, AoE 2's top levels and stuff, they're all like, they make Carnage look young.
Yes. Like, I feel like quite a lot of people are quite a lot of like Age of Empires players. You were in their teens when they initially played the game, and now that they're out of their teens, they're like mid 20s or whatever, and that seems like the average age for Age of Empires Online players, but I could be wrong.
Well, I'd say so. No, I'd say that's pretty much on the money. Most of us that were into AoEO were probably guys that actually played the other games in the series a little bit younger than most of the other player base. And then we shifted into AoEO sort of in our early, mid, possibly even late teens. You know, sort of like Carnage probably would have been 20 or so. And then things have sort of naturally progressed. Now we're all sort of in our 20s and 30s and stuff. And then they're all old geezers.
What was
down to the old folks' home in AoE 2.
What was the game that you played first that got you in to eventually play Age of Empires Online?
I'd say probably Age of Empires 2, and then
Okay.
Age of Empires 1 after that, funnily enough. Like, we actually got 2 first, then the demo of 1 in the cereal boxes, I
Oh,
believe.
those cereal boxes are so good.
Yeah,
You got the demo of 1 in the cereal box?
I think so. Yeah, and then we actually outright bought 2, and I played AOM and Command and Conquer Generals as well. Sort of
Okay.
missed out in the early titles. But yeah, as we see, sorry guys, we've sort of been a bit interrupted here, but Crabby's actually having his only town center being focused down by Poseidon right now.
Yeah, and these are some strong axemen. You got H3 Tex, H2 Armory, and Axeman Champion, of course, with that insanely good area of effect damage. So, yeah, Poseidon just coming in here, pushing with 150 of 160 population. Nothing Crabby could really do. I think he was struggling a bit for gold there.
No, and it's unfortunate too that he is so on such an even footing in terms of his macro, because he's only got the 1 town center. This is basically a killing blow for him. Like, for someone of Poseidon's caliber, taking a hit like that, it's big, but doesn't necessarily end the game, because they'd be in a position where they'd also have 2 or 3 town centers up. They'd also have
Some
roughly
army running around.
160 or 140 population worth of units. So, unfortunately for Crabby, the game is over quite quickly there.